guys, it's Bobby and welcome back to my channel. So, today I'm going to teach you how to draw from your mind. What I mean by that is kind of how can you get the basic shape started or when you're drawing something from your mind, kind of. So, you need a lot of practice for this, but once you get it down, it's actually not that hard. So, basically, for example, if you want to be a comic book artist or whatever, you got to know how to draw from your mind because you're going to start drawing buildings and all that. And yes, of course, you will be able to use reference, but for start, if you want to create like your own world, your own comic and all that, you got to know how to draw from your mind. So, we're going to start. We're going to start with the first example. Let's say a lamp. So this is completely from my mind, but for a lamp, you got to remember how the basic shapes are. So if you kind of remember a lamp, there's a lot of cylinders for the thin part of a lamp. A lot of times they're kind of spheres like that, and more kind of spheres, you know. So pretty simple stuff like that. And we're going to teach you how to use that to draw it here. So with all of that, we're going to teach you how to draw a lamp. So from the mind, we're going to draw a kind of rectangular sphere. Kind of like you can combine two things together for drawing with your mind. And it's going to be kind of like a rectangular sphere. And here we are going to draw a cylinder. Up here, a very thin cylinder. So basically going with the shapes. And then we're going to draw a kind of... This is from my experience. You also got to kind of know how they actually look like before actually... So you got to kind of already know how stuff look like. And you can do that from studying a lot of things. All kind of things you can already use to study them. And that'll help so much. Let me just tell you that. Just by studying everything that you see, memorizing them in your head, it'll help you so much. But let's get there. Now, here for the part of the lamp, many times there is like a kind of oval, kind of like this. Usually in multiple that I've seen, there are multiple kind of ovals. Kinda, not really ovals, but you kind of get what I mean. And this really helps you how to actually draw it. And then many times I can see you can combine it with the sphere like that. And you can kind of make it so the light comes from that. You know, pretty simple stuff. And then what you can do, since the light is coming from here, let's say this is the secondary light. It's coming from like this. And let's say there's more light coming from here. Let's say that. Now, we are going to shade this, and just for you to know, all of this is coming from my mind, and I'm teaching you how you can do that. So, we're going to do that kind of by just doing this. You can kind of cover it with shading and all that. You can cover all the guidelines and all that. But I'm kind of imagining how my lamp would look like, or any kind of lamp at all, how it would look like, and I'll teach you how to draw more like that. But, for example, here, light is coming from here. So here, in realism, there kind of be a bit of light bouncing from here. So what will happen is this part right here will be shaded in all the way to up here. And it'll kind of stop about here. And then you can use cross-hatching lines to go like this. If you guys want a tutorial on cross-hatching, leave it down below. Comment down potato if you want me to teach you how to cross hatch, like videos on cross hatching, and I will do it. I literally just want to do what you guys want. And I know many people want to learn how to draw realism, and this kind of, it won't teach you the exact way of how to draw from your mind. I can't talk today, man. But it'll kind of teach you the basics on how to draw from your mind. It'll be a kind of short video because I want to keep this as short as possible. And I'll show you some examples along the way. But yeah, so basically what I'm doing right now for the shading part, you kind of got to know how light works. That is very important. Knowing how light works can already take you such a long way. But here, since light isn't completely touching that, that's going to be light, but this is going to be darker, obviously. And then as you go on up, it's going to get lighter and lighter. Like this. There we go, for example. And basically, not too difficult. This is really basic. Obviously, you can make it more detailed yourself, but this is a very basic way on how to draw from the mind. Now, if you think in 3D, obviously, let's say thinking in 3D, this part right here will face away from the light. Thinking in 3D will definitely help you guys, by the way. If you start thinking in 3D, when I started thinking 3D, everything that I thought of completely changed the way I think when I draw. And in a good way. It helps so much. So, for example, instead of thinking in squares, let's say, instead of thinking in squares like that, I think in cubes, always. If you think instead of thinking in circles, I think in spheres, for example. It's just a very rough sketch, so it might not look very good. And instead of drawing like rectangles like this, I always think in 3D, you know? I always think in 3D helps so much. And just by shading that will change the way you think. Always. It'll just change completely how you draw. And that really helped me, and I'm sure it's going to help you as well. But that's kind of the first example, how to draw a lamp. So basically, you would start out with shapes, maybe combining, let's say if you were be combining a sphere, and let's just say if you'd be combining I can't draw or talk today, jeez, what am I doing? It would be combining a cylinder right here. Combining a cylinder and a sphere, how would that look like? And also combining a rectangle as well. So yeah, pretty much combining it like this. Maybe to add some guidelines to kind of make you think into the 3D world. And then let's say you can add a cylinder right here. For example, here you can probably add a little curved cylinder, kind of, for example. I feel like you kind of get the idea. And then here you can draw a kind of oval. And yeah, just adding the basic shapes, knowing the basic shapes, and kind of knowing, if you look at a lamp, for example, just knowing how the basic shapes really work, that can take you in, like, it can literally change so much just by knowing the basic structure. For example, if you think of a fridge, you kind of know how a fridge already looks like. You think of a bottle, you know how a bottle looks like. These such simple ways of doing it makes it so simple. But those are kind of some examples. We're going to think of something else. Let's see if I would want to draw, let's say a bottle. So I have a bottle here, for example, and we're going to think of the basic shapes. So we got this bottle, obviously this drawing from your mind, but let's think what kind of, what basic shapes do we have? Let's put it like this so you can see the entire thing. But if you, for example, look at this basic shape, you can, for example, start by seeing that you see, I gotta move this away, but let's just say you see, at the beginning, you can probably see a cylinder. This is a very fat one, but let's just say you see a cylinder, and you kind of see a cone on the top. And once you see a cone, you can kind of know how everything really looks like. And you can already see, it already starts looking like a bottle. So just knowing how the basic shapes are you can kind of already see how everything looks like. And obviously everyone knows that we got the name tag right here. Here's Evian, not sponsored, but let's call it Evian, just so it's not copyrighted. Let's call it Evian instead of, yeah, I should probably cover this logo. I don't want to get copyrighted. But yeah, you can kind of see how the basic shapes work just by knowing the basic shapes. Cylinder here, a cone here. You know, just by knowing all of these basic shapes can take you such a long way. Here we got a 2D. Don't be afraid to combine 2D and 3D. That is already perfectly fine. Combining 2D and 3D works, but you gotta do it in a very different way than you think. So let's say you draw all of that in kind of 3D shapes. Let's say that. Draw like this. And then to draw a 3D, you don't want it completely too deep, it'll just ruin the entire drawing. But what really happens is it kind of curves like this, you know? Just by adding the curves, take you such a long way. See, just by adding multiple basic shapes together, you can already draw from your mind really simply and really easily. Just by doing all of that, and boom, you just like that, you have it. And it's just so simple. Let me give you another example. So let's say you want to draw a chair, okay? Let's say any chair. So, all right, we got to think of a chair. So, actually, let's think of a book first. Let's keep it simple for now. Let's think of a book. So a book, obviously, is kind of like a cube, kind of rectangular, kind of like this. And see, you already have a book. Like, really simple. You already have a kind of book. This could also be a cereal box as well. Literally, it could be anything. And for a chair, is also, sorry if I'm going a little fast, but for a chair is also very simple. So what happens for a chair? All right, so we're gonna think of what a chair has. What does a chair have that makes it look like a chair? So if you kind of think of a chair in your mind, we're gonna think of that. We're gonna break it into different parts. So, for example, we have kind of very thin cylinders. Then we probably got a sphere over here, let's say. And usually, we have 4 of these. And many times you can't see it, but usually you have 4 of them. And another thing that also works with this is the top where you lean down. Also where you lean into it. So for example, if you want to draw 4 with perspective, for example, you would draw it pretty simple like that. This is obviously not looking very good, but it's kind of a very basic sketch. But yeah, pretty much you kind of get the idea. And what else is there? So we got this right here. We got that times 2. That times 2 times 2 is 4. So we got 4 of these usually. What else can we have in a chair? All right. So we also have a cube down here. So for example, we have a cube. This is like a very basic way of drawing it. But for example, we have a kind of one right here. And for example, here, for example, we have a television already, you know? Anything could be turned into anything, no matter what. It can already look like an old television. It could be really a bed. It could be anything you want. So simple. All right, so for example, what else do we have? We have the top here, usually, for example. Let's just say that. Pretty simple. And there are so many things. And if you want to draw it in a kind of different way, you know, in a better way, let's think of more basic structures. So here we got a kind of rectangle, kind of. Let's say that. Yeah, a rectangle. Let's say that. We got the part where you sit in. Like that. The part here where you kind of sit into. right there. Then here you got the part where you sit down. See, very simple things that already make it look, and also obviously this is a very simple sketch, but you can make it even more detailed if you want. You can easily make this way more detailed. This is only the basic shapes. Keep that in mind. This is only the basic shapes for drawing a chair. And then obviously you can kind of modify it. Let me show you an example. So for example, here obviously we got the back part. Usually, let's just say it's there. Obviously not perfect, but let's just say it's there. Even though obviously not here, but let's say it's there, just to complete it. And then obviously you can modify this. So for example, here you can make it more curvy, you know? You can erase it and make it more curvy. You can shade it here to make it look more 3D, you know? And stuff like that. Let's see. You can make the proportions actually look good. For example, you go like this. You know, just make it all, you know, just all kinds of different things that can already make a drawing look how you want it to look. Just by doing all of these things, it can already change. Now, let's think of other things that we want to draw. Let's say a camel. All right, so we got a camel. And let's say if you want to draw that from your mind, you don't have any reference or anything, how would you draw it? So, again, we break it down to basic shapes. So kind of we got a I don't really know how would you call it, but kind of a rectangle, a very curvy one, kind of, let's say that. So yeah, pretty. Oh, that is way too fat. Oh yeah, that is way too fat. But let's just say for the beginning, let me show you what I mean by basic shapes. So obviously these are very basic shapes. This is literally the outline of the outline. And then let's just say we got the head for over here. Let's just say that the head is over here. And let's just say we got the head. Then we got the incredible part right there. Let's say we got it here, you know, just very simple, very simply made. Not too difficult, you know, just very simple shapes that can already change it. You know, stuff like that. That's another example. And let's say, for example, if you want to draw a human, it's like, all right, what human do you want me to draw it in? For example, let's say a sitting human. For example, let's say that, a sitting human. What can we do it? So, all right, we break it into basic shapes. So we got the head right here. And in reality, it's not actually a head. Remember, it's a sphere. Remember that, it's a sphere. And for example, we can have, let's see, the hand right here. He's holding into the hand. And then it goes down like this. So he's holding like that, you know. And it goes like that. And let's just say that it's writing. Okay, let's just say that this human is writing. So we draw right there, and then let's see what else. We have this part showing that it's sitting down. Let's show like that, like, you know, very basic things. Like obviously you can make an entire drawing with these techniques as long as you change it, like modify it, and, you know, make it so it actually looks like for example, we add the hair, okay? Because for example, that doesn't really look like a human. For example, let's draw the study girl right here. We got her the headphones. I don't really know how it looks like, kinda, but we have it like this. We have that like this. Then we got the little ponytail, I believe she has. Yeah, I think she does. And it goes like this, you know, like that. And then let's say for the eyes, let's say she's looking down like that. You know, and at this point, I'm not even looking at any reference at this point. Right now, all of that was drawn without any reference. The face was drawn without any reference and all that. So let's say, obviously, you gotta modify way more than this. You gotta change it so it actually looks like the proportions are right. You gotta make this arm a bit fatter so it looks more realistic. But this is kind of how I'm thinking to make it look better, you know? Like, obviously, I am making it, I'm actually obviously making it better. Like, actually making it look like, for example, this does not look like a normal arm. But like, just say if I actually want to do one, all right? Let's say that. So you would draw that, and we would go like this. Right? Let's just say an example for it to hold for proportion. And let's say for the study girl, I don't know why I'm drawing the study girl right now, but just popped to mind after I thought of chairs and a person sitting down. I'm like, yeah, let's just draw the study girl. But let's just say it goes like that, Then it goes down like this. Like this. And, like that. And let's just say this part will be where the hand goes. We would fix this part right here as well, Maybe this part will be connected to this part. So it goes down like this, like that, This maybe it'll go more up. It'll go up into up here. Like very easy things that you can add to this. And for example, if talking back to the book situation like that, just put it into basic shapes like this, Then for a pencil, let's just say a pencil or holding a pencil. You kind of know how people hold pencils already, so that shouldn't be really too tough for you. But like that, let's just say here is where the pencil will be. And for example, you'll have to have some minor changes for this to be somewhere else. Like very, very basic stuff. Okay? So this, what I'm doing right now, the most basic thing you could ever do to draw. Literally the most basic things. These are the basic fundamentals to draw it. Like, just by thinking of 3D. Going back to the bottle, for example. I don't know why I'm laughing, but yeah, for example, it goes down like this, It goes back to a cylinder. Then this goes up to a cone, 3D cone like that. For example, it goes like this, and this part goes like that. Just making all of that simple stuff. And obviously, this is just the outline. When you see Jim Lee drawing and all that, for example, he would start like that, let's just say, and then he would start like drawing the pose for the character. For example, if he's sitting down like that with his hand like that, for example, this hand will be going like that. Very basic things for drawing anything. He puts it into basic shapes. For example, an arm, instead of drawing an arm immediately, we start with a cylinder. For example, if we want to draw a box, we wouldn't start with the normal box. We would start with a cube, for example. So stuff like that. Very, very simple stuff, for example. Or, let's see what else. Another example. If you would want to draw, let's see, I'm thinking of anything else. If you want to draw a car, what could be in the car, for example? So, for example, we would start like that. Obviously, this is not even good how I'm drawing it. It's just for an example, but like that. Let's just say a car, usually the body of the car. And then this is kind of to know where everything goes. Let's just say the wheels go, just everything, keep it extremely simple. And then at the end, you can change everything to make it look like it's supposed to be. But anyway, that is all I gotta say. That is basically how you can try to draw from your mind. Basically, the final tips is start by drawing it with the basic shapes. That's the most important part. Start drawing it with the basic shapes. And then after that, you can start adding everything that you need to add. For example, for that, I combined a cylinder with a kind of sphere, I combined both of them. And once I've done that, let's just say it goes like this, it goes like that. And then it goes like this, For example, we already got a pot, It's so simple, but pretty effective if you know how to use it correctly. But anyway, that is all I gotta say. I hope you really guys enjoyed. If you have any more questions, tell me down below. If you want me to show you any more tutorials, write it down below. And also be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new, turn on post notifications. And that is all I gotta say. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.